Hi everyone. So welcome to the Classroom TV. So basically when we start a chemistry class, as I said in the earlier classes, like chemistry class is nothing but like what all the changes takes place in the nature, means study of nature itself is nothing but science. So basically when we start the whatever the changes taking place in the environment and all the permanent changes whatever takes place, basically those all permanent changes, basically we consider that all as a chemical changes. So one among the chemical changes or whatever the chemical changes which are being taking place in the environment, all those are being considered and they are being learned particularly in a field of science as chemistry. Yeah. So when we are starting with that, so whatever is existing in the nature, isn't it? Whatever the things whichever are existing in the nature, those things whatever are existing in the nature are being considered to be objects. So those all objects whatever are being considered in the nature, those objects we are being taken as a form called as matter. So what is a matter? The question comes, like basically suppose now you know very well there are different things or what you say the different objects which we come across in our day to day life, isn't it? Now for example when you start up with your day, basically what you do, you start and you will be going for a brush, then you start bathing, then you will go with your all the regular routine. So during that you come across different types of objects which you use. So the basic things like whatever you will be using for our daily requirement or for our daily life applications, those all requirements or that applications basically are considered as matter in our chemistry. So today we are going to learn a topic called content of matter in our surroundings. Okay, in our class we are going to learn matter in our surroundings, means what all the things which we are coming across or which we are interacting in the nature, those all are considered or grouped together as called as matter here. Okay, so here we will start with a class. So basically when we start with matter, so I said just now, like what is a matter? Matter is nothing but like basically which is occupying some space or which has some weight. These all properties you have been learnt in your earlier classes, like matter occupies space, it has size, it has volume, it has dimensions. So these all things you have been learnt. So these all dimensions together are considered to be as a matter. So here we interact the matter with different states. Okay, for example, now you know very well, like definitely every day we use water. So what is a water? Water comes under which form of a matter? Okay, preferably we use different kind of things, like you know definitely when the cooking goes on, different types of fumes gets there. So what are those fumes? Like those fumes are considered to which form of a matter? Okay, generally we wear clothes or generally we use chair to sit or we use different kind of format. So chair comes under which form of a matter? So generally these kind of sort of things we classified in as a matter in three forms said to be as solid, liquid and gas. So today this is an introduction which we are starting where you can see matter in our surroundings. So basically you can see here I have taken the three forms of matter which we are physically classifying. We have classified it into three forms, that is nothing but solid, liquid and gas. Okay. So what is this? These are the three basic forms of matter which we are going to come across. Okay. The next, as I said just now, there are three forms of matter existing in three forms: solids, liquids and gases. So you can see some of the examples of solids here, like you can see ice, you know, form of water, then stone, sand, gold, iron and etc. So these are some of the things considered to be as solid form of matter. Okay, isn't it children? The next, coming to liquid, just now I gave the example, like water comes under liquid form of matter. So water is very, very important. You have been learned the importance of water. Without the water, there is no survival. We can't live, or there is no existence, we can say. And where we have been living, there also you know very well that 75% of the earth is being surrounded by water. So the water comes under the form of liquid matter, liquid form. Then milk, petrol or cold drink, etc. These are some of the forms of matter, liquid forms of matter. Then coming to gases, air. Okay, air comes under the form of gas, because we say air is a mixture of gases. Can we able to see a gas? We doesn't see, but we definitely we feel it. So when we feel it, during that you know, as we breathe in the air and we giving out the carbon dioxide, so the air whichever is present in the atmosphere, that air contains maximum of the percentage of nitrogen and oxygen in it, isn't it? So here, even as we said that air is a mixture of gases, so during that when nitrogen and oxygen are the forms of mixture which present in as air, where air is acting a part of a matter in existing in gaseous form. So here oxygen, nitrogen, ammonia, etc. These are some of the forms of gases. Clear? So basically what we have done here, we have classified the matter into three forms: solid, liquid and gas. So during this, when we have classified the matter into three forms as solid, liquid and gas, now we need to know particularly how to know that it's a solid, or how to know that it's a liquid, or how to know it's a gas. So in order to know, we need to know the, in order to know the forms of the matter, we need to know the properties of matter. So here the important criteria comes is, we need to identify the properties. Based on the properties we can say that there are, means based on these properties we can confirmly say that it is a form of solid, or it is a form of a liquid, or it is a form of a gas. Clear everyone? So now coming to the next one. So here I said just now, like as when we are interacting the matter in our surroundings, means in our surrounding itself where we are existing, there itself become all the forms of matter, means we are being involved, or we are getting used to that, or we are being, what you say, interacting with it. So here you can see an example, basically a boy like you, which he has been sitting and he has been just watching using a computer, which you generally do now. Isn't basically you go on play with the games, or you will be on laptop. So here also he has been using the computer. So you can see here as he is sitting on a chair, and you can see this, he is using a desk here. Okay, can you see? And you can see a butterfly here, and a person who is sitting. You can see the window which is having a sun and a clouds which are to be seen, and here plant. So basically now you tell me, by seeing the picture, what are the things you can make out? Means can you avoid the matter? Means what I mean to say, like are you able to avoid the matter? Without the matter, are you able to do any sort of thing? Without the chair, are you able to sit it? Okay, without the desktop, are you able to keep your computer? Okay, and without without wearing the glasses, are you able to see it clearly? If a person who is having a sight particularly, and without the sun rays, are you able to get the sufficient amount of light? Isn't it? Without the air, are you able to sit? So there are some sort of things which are being grouped together as a form of matter, which we are classifying it, where we cannot avoid it. So basically here during this, as I said just now, like matter is anything that has mass and takes up some space. Now for example, I said when a boy, when he was sitting on a chair, so chair is one form of a matter. Like we are going to confirm it, like it is which form of matter based on some properties now. Now we have classified the matter into solid, liquid and gas, no doubt in that. So during that, when we are going to classify the particular form of matter as a solid, as a liquid, as a gas, now here we are going to classify it on the properties. But here, an important criteria of matter we got is what? Like matter is anything which has mass and it takes some space. So here also basically we are going to see now when a chair was being kept, when a person or a boy when he was sitting on the chair, he has basically seen that he is occupying some space. And even a desktop when you are going to place, when a table is placed or anything on a chair, a table or what all the things you are going to place it, definitely they are going to occupy some space. Along with the space you will be seeing some other properties also like volumes and dimensions which are important for that property. The next, states of matter. So basically I said states of matter, we have already classified matter into three forms: solid, liquid and gas. So here you can see generally like this we are going to get the conclusion at last, but here the arrangement I am saying you. Like suppose you take the example of water, the same water when it is in form of an ice. When it is form of an ice, so you can see when an ice is being kept or when you see the ice, you will see the dimensions of that particular ice to be perfect and definite. Means that's the meaning is nothing but here it's understood that overall the ice which is being present in a solid form has overall correct dimensions. Like you can see now these are some of the atoms which are placed in that particular solid state where they are confinedly and definite to a place. They are fixed. They are fixed. Suppose same if I take liquid, in the liquid you can see the water molecules or the water whichever is been placed in a glass, you are able to see there is a random movement between the particles or the molecules of water, whereas in a solid you can see there is no movement at all, they are being fixed and confined. But when you come to the liquid state, you can see that there is some movement in the water molecule. Then when you come to a gas, you can see the clouds. We have taken the example of a clouds. So you know cloud starts being moving, the appearance of the clouds seem to be moving. Are they confined, are they fixed? Here the same thing you can see that same representation in the form of arrangement of an atoms are being given, where you can see there is no perfect geometry or there is no definite arrangement of the atoms which are involved in a gaseous state. Means basically by using these states we are coming to an conclusion that whatever the matter which is existing in the environment in the form of a solid, liquid or gas, they go with the certain geometry. Means how they are arranged, what is the dimensions or how they are being present, means how to confirmly say it's a solid or how to confirmly say it's a liquid or how to confirmly say it's a gas. Means these forms of matter whichever we have identified in our surroundings, how to confine them and say that it's a form of a matter with some of the properties in it. Clear? So based on these properties whatever are existing, then we come to a conclusion that that particular solid has some properties and the designations along with the liquid and the gas forms of matter which is existing in the surroundings. Clear everyone? Hope so everyone are been observing it very carefully. No one are been just ignoring it or been sleeping or whatever. You have to concentrate. Then as just now as we are discussing like what are the properties we are going to discuss. Like how to know that it's a solid. For example, when we took chair or when we took a table. Okay. So how to know that it's a solid only. Or when we took a water, then how to say it's a liquid. Or when we took a air, okay, when air is been moving or oxygen gas or nitrogen which are present in that, how to estimate it or what are the properties which are pertaining it or which are confinedly or confirmly saying that it's a form of a solid matter, a liquid or a gas. So first coming to our first concept here, like do solids have definite shape and fixed volume? So we need to confirm that do the solids have definite shape and fixed volume. Okay. Again take the example of chair. Now when you sit on a chair, have you seen chair being fixed? Does a chair move here and there? Yes, the chair remains the same. The chair doesn't move here and there until and unless it is disturbed. So by that movement itself we can say that chair is considered to be a form of solid, but where it is having the fixed shape and even the volume. So for example, a particular solid, suppose we want to know a particular solid, we want to confirm like it's a solid. So what are the properties does a solid should have? See here one by one, let us see. See, first is it has a fixed shape, isn't it? The same example, the chair or a table, they has a fixed shape, that doesn't change. Shape in the sense when you come into the terms of length, breadth and all, it remains same. When you come to the volume, in the volume we know no, where all the dimensions, length, breadth, height, they remain same, they doesn't change. Then they has mass. Each and every matter has mass, no doubt in it. Let it be a solid, let it be a gas or let it be a liquid, all the forms of matter definitely has some mass in it, no doubt in it. Mass is must. Then solids cannot flow, as just now I said you. Isn't it? When a chair is fixed or a table is fixed in one place, it remains confined to that particular place until and unless it is being disturbed. The next, cannot be compressed. The meaning of compress, we will be learning it definitely. Okay, just I will say basically, like suppose example, I am holding a remote, even a remote controller said to be as a solid here. So you can see even a solid means when I said remote controller to be a solid, you can see it's a perfect dimensions where it has a definite shape, definite volume, it has some mass. Okay, until and unless if I am been moving, only it starts moving. Until and unless, suppose if I hold, so it remains same, it doesn't move. Same way cannot be compressed. When I am suppose now I am holding a remote, when starting compressing means when I am trying to get it to close up. Are you able to see, is this coming compressed? Is it getting compressed? It doesn't getting compressed, isn't it? It remains same because it has definite shape. It has a perfect geometry with all its length, breadth and height. So all the solids which are existing in the nature of the form of a matter, they cannot be compressed. Okay, they remains the same. So these are some of the properties which we see in a solid basically when we discuss that it should be a solid form of a matter. Clear everyone? The next coming to examples of some solids. So even a chair you can take, even a football. There are different type of crayon pencils which you will be using, even crayon pencils also. Okay, until and unless you sharp them and all you do, they won't get what is shorter. They remain same. Okay, the shape and the volume of a pencil, whichever has been designated or designed in that form, remains the same. Those are some of the examples there. Yeah. The next, when you come, identifying the shape and volume of a liquid. Okay, solids we have done. Then coming to the liquids. So what properties are being present or involved in a liquid? So here, when we start with liquid, fixed volume but doesn't have fixed shape. Okay, example, you know, when you have been going to your school, you will use different type of water bottles. Different containers, means some will get what you say, like they get 500 ml of container, some get 1 liters of container. So different volumes of containers are what you say used. But suppose the same content, means when I say like 1 liter of volume of water, when you are using in different form of containers, you can see the volume remains the same, but you will be seeing the different what you say, the shape gets changes according to the container which we are using. Here we are going to see, generally I will explain you. Then the liquids take on the shape of the container they are in. So you can see here different containers I have used. Okay, basically I have used here all our chemistry equipments, like basically I went with the conical flask, I used beaker, I have used measuring jar, measuring flask, then I have used round bottom flask. So you can basically find out here. You can see basically like a conical flask with the same volume. Suppose you consider the volume to be 1 liter or 500 ml in all these containers, but you can see volume is remaining the same, but you can see the shape of the liquid gets changes according to the size of the container which we are using here. So you can see when I am using a conical flask, in the conical flask you can see the size of the water gets changed. When we are using a beaker, Again the same volume is being changing according to the size of the container which we are using here. Then same way, if you are using again a measuring jar or a measuring flask, again you can see the size of the container. I mean the volume remains the same, only the size of the liquid which you are transforming into different containers get changes according to the container which you are using. Okay. So, different type of containers we use in a house or basically wherever you go, whenever any liquid is being stored, or when you come to our chemistry also, like different chemicals whichever we use, or the different liquids, or whichever the different reagents or whatever we are going to use, those all different reagents definitely are being stored into different containers as per the requirement, but the volume remains the same. Then the particles in the liquid are not fixed in place and can move from one place to another, isn't it? So, when a liquid is been, you know, very definitely like anytime like water gets spilled or falls on the floor, you can see the water starts, or the liquid or the water starts moving out. It does not stay quiet like a solid, where a solid stays quiet until and unless it is being disturbed. But a liquid, there is no need of disturbance itself. It itself starts flowing or moving until and unless it is being, what you say, stored in a container. It starts moving. Okay. The property of flow is said to be liquids. We are going to learn that also in our next classes. Then when you come to next part, do the gases have definite shape and volume? Next comes to the gases. So, in solids there is no need of what you say, like by assuming or by seeing it, we can say that there is a fixed shape, and the what you say, the volume, the length, breadth, height, the dimensions all are fixed. So, there is no need of being disturbing the solid. But whereas in what about the liquid then? In liquids also definitely there is a fixed volume, but there is no fixed what you say shape. Until and unless a container is used, based on the type of a container which we are using, it changes. The next comes to a gas. Do a gas has a definite shape and volume? Now you tell me, Chindan, as I said, like air is a form of matter which comes under gas, I said you. So, are you able to see a gas? Yes, we doesn't see a gas, but we feel a gas. So, when you are only feeling a gas, now you tell me, can we imagine the shape of a gas? Can we imagine a shape? Does it have a shape? Okay, gases actually, they never have a shape, because we are not seeing it, because we are not visualizing it, or we are not seeing with our eyes. So, basically what is happening here, as we are not been seeing a gas, so definitely here we say that gases doesn't have any definite shape or a volume also. So, here gas is a state of matter that doesn't no fixed shape and no fixed volume. There is no fixed volume also. Okay, because all we can see just now in the earlier picture we have seen there, like what we have seen, gases arrangements are random. The atoms which were arranged in the gases, they were moving randomly. Okay, they were been moving randomly. So, when what you say, the vapors whichever comes in your house, or when the mother starts cooking, have you seen the whistling and all, along with the whistling you will see the vapors starts coming out from that. So, are you able to again catch those vapors? Are you able to get those vapors back? No, because almost the vapors are nothing but they turn into a gas and they starts almost to evaporate. In such cases also we doesn't considered to be having a definite shape or a definite volume in it. Basically, so that is one. Then one more is they have lower density than other states of matter. Like what is that? Solids and liquids. There is a lot of empty space between the particles of gas molecules. I said just now. Like the arrangement of the atoms in solids are confined. They are fixed to a certain position and a certain dimension. And when you come to liquids, until and unless they are being stored in some sort of container and all, well and good, they also stays. Okay, but what about the gas? The gases actually what is happening here? Gases that doesn't have doesn't have a shape, and even the volumes are not been confined or fixed. At least for a liquid, we are able to confine the shape according to the container depending upon the volume which we are using there. But what about a gas? Gases as always has the higher density compared to the liquids and solids, so they are being not quite possible to confine to a particular shape or a volume which we fix for enclosing them. So, we are going to learn about the factors or the properties of gas also, liquids and gases. So, that also we are going to see. So, now we have classified a solid, a liquid and a gas based on some properties like we said solids to be a definite shape and the volume. Like when you come to the liquids, we have said that there is no definite shape but there is a definite volume. Then gases, neither they have definite shape, neither they definite have a volume. So, depending on these some properties, then we will be learning what kind of the characteristics of a particular matter can have, which can be assured that the particular solid or a liquid or a gas can be existed in the nature in this form also can be discussed. So, these were the some of the properties which we discussed, children. The next, when you come to other property, this is the most important property which we come across in our daily life without a miss, means we cannot avoid it. It's nothing but it's called as diffusion. I think you have already heard, might have heard this word, but in our chemistry also, diffusion has also been taken an important role in the form of a matter which we discussed. Now, when I said diffusion is also playing an important role in our forms of matter, can you guess which form of matter this diffusion holds good? Yes, in the diffusion of matter holds good in case of liquids and as well as in some, up to some extent in gases also we are going to see. So, mostly the diffusion property is eligible to liquid form of matter in a chemistry. Why not solids? Why not solids? Yeah, because solids doesn't move as they have definite shape and definite volume. So, as they have not been moving, so the property of diffusion doesn't comes arises. Because before to define it, I am saying you like diffusion property is been applicable to liquids specially. So, here what is the diffusion? Okay, the word diffusion. So, the particles of matter intermix on their own with each other. They get intermixed on their own with each other. We are definitely going to see that. They do so by getting into the spaces between the particles. Okay. Now, when we were discussing about the solid, have you seen in solids there were any spaces left in between when the atoms were arranged? Yeah, we have seen that there was no places being present in between of the spaces of atom. But you can see there was a spaces present in liquids than more than the gases. But there were no spaces present in solids. So, generally we keep solids aside and we go specially with liquids where the property of diffusion is more applicable there. So, what is diffusion? Like the intermixing of the particles of two different types of matter on their own is called diffusion. Is called diffusion. So, here to demonstrate this I am going to show a picture and even a figure. You can see basically here a conical flask is used where you can see a ink dropper, where an ink dropper is used where the ink was being added into the particular container which was filled with the liquid, and you can see how the intermixing of the ink solution getting mixed with the water and overall how it gets spread here. So, the same thing I am going to show here, like suppose when I took a glass of water, when I took a glass of water, I have able to see here children, it is only a plain water. Now, this comes under a liquid? Yeah, this is a water comes under a form of liquid itself. So, when I took a water where water is a form of liquid, so where as just now we discussed that particles of matter are intermixing on the ore with each other. So, I am using a liquid form of water and I am using an ink solution. Even an ink solution is also a form of liquid. So, when I am using an ink solution form of a liquid, so when the intermixing of the particles of two different type of matter means here when I took a plain water, when I am taking a ink solution and when I try to add the ink solution along the sides or along it, you can see the liquid starts getting intermixed. So when the liquid starts intermixing in this, it takes time and it starts mixing overall the solution, and you can able to see, as you can see now, as it starts moving, you can see. So when the intermixing, the word intermixing is nothing but like it's the solution or a liquid solution of one form of matter getting mixes with the other form of a matter, wherein you can able to see the overall the content of that matter getting distributed, and along with the distribution you can able to see the content it gets spreads in along this one, and suppose when I start moving, you can able to see the solution starts turning into that particular solution which we have used say. So here that solution whatever is being used, so when I dropper or when I am using an ink solution or when I used, you can see the solution starts spreading equally over all the matter form which we have used here. So the same figure is being demonstrated with all the forms of the matter which we are using here to explain the form of diffusion. Okay, so here same way observing the diffusion of liquids. So I said just now I have demonstrated where you have taken a plain water, and when you are using an ink solution or water in that and you are trying to add it, you can see that overall the solution of water gets turned into that particular ink solution ink whichever you have taken. If it is a blue ink, it takes into blue. If it is in violet or pinkish, whichever colors or whatever forms you are going to take, those forms are being, you are able to see the intermixing of liquids takes place. So that particularly that act of intermixing of the two liquids itself we say it as diffusion here. Okay. So here you can see I have actually demonstrated an activity here, the same activity actually which I have been shown you. There we have taken in a glass, but same thing here you can see it has been taken in a round bottom flask. You can see, take 250 ml of round bottom flask with 2/3 of water in it. Okay, don't fill it toward, it can be 2/3 which is more than half, and use a dropper and use some few drops of blue or red ink, or even you can use potassium permanganate solution. Okay, it's KMnO4 potassium permanganate solution, even you can use KMnO4 solution, and try to add along the sides of the container only. Means you need to add that particular solution along the sides. Okay, you cannot overallly add it and again shake it or disturb that, because we want to see the spread out of that liquid overall that content, and trying to show the property of diffusion here, means how diffusion takes place. Okay. Now during that I would like to ask you some questions which are there in our next slide. By seeing this activity, like what are the conclusions which we get from this activity, like that it has been surely what you say like diffusion has been involved in that activity, we want to find it. So during that you see what do you observe after adding the drop of ink or potassium permanganate. So when we have added, now for example in the previous slide you can see here, when you were adding a drop of potassium permanganate, because as potassium permanganate is in violet color, you can see the content of the flask turning into the violet, means you can see the solution starts turning into violet color. So during that when you have added the drop, only a drop, 1 or 2 drops you are going to add it to it, isn't it? So when you are adding a 1 or 2 drops to it, so during that what you have observed, so what you will see? You will see that the overall the ink or the potassium permanganate solution whatever you have added in drop wise, it starts getting uniformly spread throughout the solution. Okay, it starts spreading. So during that there was a question, how much time does it take the color to spread evenly throughout water? Yes, this is a question now. Definitely. When you have added the ink solution or the potassium permanganate solution to that particular liquid, how long or how much time it gets equally distributed, means it gets changes, no, the color gets changes. So when we are getting the violet color, how much time does it takes to convert overall the plain water into the violet color solution? So here you can see that the two figures which I have given, one is a hot solution and one is cold solution. So you know generally these things kind of, I think definitely if you ask your mothers in your house, she'll say about like whenever you are being adding some contents or ingredients to the food in what you say, like when what you say when the overall the recipe is hot, it gets mixes up very quickly rather than it is in cold. Isn't it? For example, like when if a dish is prepared, any dish is prepared, during a dish some ingredient have been added in less quantities. Now later when you have started it tasting it, so during that if you feel that ingredient is lesser, when you start again adding it and you start mixing it and eat, you doesn't see that the ingredients which were being added while cooking in a when they were hot, they get mixes up very easily compared to the ingredients which were added in cold, it takes some time. So same thing has happened here. Suppose if that water, if it is in hot, if it is would have been hot, you can see the overall the ink solution or whatever you have added, that ink solution gets spread very easily, it get mixes up fastly. But same ink solution or the KMNO solution, whatever you have taken, when you have been adding in a cold solution or in a cold water, you will see that it takes some time to get evenly distributed or getting spread equally over all the solution. Okay, clear everyone? This is the most important part. Means once when you have been added the ink solution or a dropper of potassium permanganate, the how much time or how long it takes to get mixes up and get distributed and makes us the color to be visible. So depending on these two figures, you can easily make out, suppose if the solution is hotter, you will see that it takes not much of the time compared to the solutions which are colder, which takes more than the time for the particular solution whichever you are adding to it. Okay. So at last, what you are going to conclude from this activity? So what you will conclude? Yeah, we conclude the diffusion of liquids takes place when means it's nothing but the intermixing of the particles of the matter in liquid form of one to other gets taken place, means they get intermixed with each other. That intermixing of the particles is said to be as one form of diffusion. So diffusion phenomena is must and should, this will happen in a everyday life. So that's we are getting the discussion on that, where we will see different sort of activities or whichever we come across in our daily life in the diffusion. Okay, so observing diffusion of gases. Next in liquid forms we have seen. So even I said just now, like we are going to see even diffusion also been seen in gases also. Okay, in the form of liquids we have seen how diffusion has taken place in the form of matter. Same way we are going to see in the form of gases. So when we start with gases, see here, can you able to see what are the pictures which have been present here? Can you see what is this? It's an incense stick, which we generally say as an agabatti. Okay, the incense stick. And here you can see different perfumes which basically we use, and you can see different refresheners which we are using here. Okay, so room freshness refreshness which we are using. So now by seeing these figures, what can you make out? Are we using them in our daily life or are we using them? Yes, definitely. When you are doing any of your prayer and the pujas and all, definitely you are going to light an incense stick. Okay, and definitely when you are getting ready up with yourselves, definitely you are going to use the deodorants, and definitely the refreshness also definitely you will be using. So now you might be getting a question like where the concept of diffusion is arised here, means where is diffusion here? So where the concept of diffusion is being involved in this sort of figures. So that we are going to discuss here. Okay, in our next slide you are going to see, like suppose you ask your friend to hold an unlit incense stick. Okay, tell him to take an agabatti or an incense stick without unlit. You are not supposed to light it. Without lighting, just tell him to hold it and stand in one corner of the room. Okay, let him stand. Then after standing him, then you go and stand in other corner. Like suppose your friend is standing in one corner, you stand in one more corner. Okay, and after you are standing it, then can you smell anything? Are you able to get any smell when just you are standing without lighting the mass, what is it, the incense stick, and just standing in one corner? Are you able to get it anything? Any smell? Are you feeling it? No, you are not able to see any of the smell of that. Then now ask your friend to light that stick. Then let him light the incense stick whichever you have been used. So during that, can you smell anything now? Are you able to get any smell once the stick is lighted? Yeah, definitely you are able to see the beautiful fragrance of that particular incense stick whichever is been lighted. It starts being moving from one corner of the room to the entire room, or that what you say place which is being the incense stick is lighted up. Yes, generally this happens. Like in your home also, like whenever any puja, anything has been done, you will see definitely after puja is been done, the incense sticks are lighted up. So when the incense sticks are lighted up, they are being burned up to some period of half an hour to 1 hour. So during that, when you are being in, suppose in other corner, suppose now puja room is at one side and you are being suppose in your own, your what you say, like in your own master bedroom, you have been sitting there and you have been working with your some work. So when an instant light stick, when it has been lighted in from one corner, you can able to see that smell gets overall spreaded on all that particular area in and around the surroundings. Yeah, you are able to see the overall the smell of the lighted instant mass stick gets lighted up and gets spread overall the entire area where you have been able to feel the presence and the smell of that mass stick. You are able to feel and smell of that particular mass stick. So here also same thing is happening. When an instant stick is lighted up in one corner and you are able to see the entire smell and the fragrance of that instant stick is getting up, being spread over all the corners of all the sides and the area of that particular form. Then when your friend lights the incense stick, the scent in that vapor form mix and the smoke get mixes with the air and moves across the room and it reaches your nose. Yes, nose is compulsory. Nose is the sense organ which makes us feel the smell. So when you are able to get that smell, that actually when the incense stick is lighted up, once the incense stick is lighted up, that the smoke whichever has been coming from an incense stick gets mixes with the air and then it reaches to your nose, which feels you better and pleasant. So in this way you can see how a concept of diffusion is involved. As we already said that diffusion is nothing but the movement of particles. So in this movement of particles you can able to see the smoke of the incense stick which was been lighted in one corner has got entirely spread out over all the room where a concept of diffusion arises there. Yeah. The next coming to, so what do you conclude from this activity? Yeah, we conclude that even diffusion of gases takes place, isn't it? Now air, the smoke is nothing but even smoke is in form of gas. So when the smoke whichever was being enrosed or which was being arise from that incensed agarbatti has got mixes up with the air. So when it got mixes up with the air and it reaching your nose. So there also nothing but that air and diffusion is in form of gas. Yeah. So that diffusion form of gas is being, so we can say even diffusion of gases also takes place in form of matter. So the movement, so you can again define diffusion very clearly. The movement of air, vapors of scent and smoke from one place to other is known as diffusion. So just now I said, the movement means the movement of air particles, the movement of the smoke, that smoke whatever is being arise or whichever is coming. So when a deodorant is applied, okay, particularly when you go to functions and all, generally you can see different types of deodorants and perfumes are applied by different persons where the smell starts being experienced by one of the other. Means suppose now you have been sitting at the beginning and you are able to see the person who is sitting at the last applied with some of the essence of the perfume or the deodorant whatever he used, it gets spread over all the room, what you say, that area, and you will try to find out and where that person or from the where the smell comes. So in that way you can see the movement is been moving from one part to the other part. That is also important. Then in this case, smoke or vapor of scent and air are the gases which are highly mobile. Mobile in the sense moving. Definitely the smoke or whatever the particles, okay, the smoke whichever comes from particular thing definitely get mixes up with the air faster. When it get mixes up with the air faster, you are able to see they are been moving at a higher rate, and it reaches so soon to our nose that it makes us feel the presence, where we can again estimate that it's nothing but the diffusion has taking place, and it's nothing but one form of matter. Then if you are spraying a perfume or deodorant also in one corner of the room, it spreads soon to all the directions. Then does the smell from burning insect and deodorant spray each reach some or the other at the end of the same time? Yeah, definitely. As I said just now, like different deodorants or different perfumes when they are applied, so it may take the time, or some or the other time they will be reaching at that time without the doubt. Means surely you are able to see that overall the scent or the vapor, perfume, whichever it is in applied, it get intermixes with the air in the form of vapor, and it starts moving from that part to other form, and definitely they reach to our nose at one or the other same time, and we feel that, and that's also that phenomenon of diffusion. So generally in this way, these were some of the activities which makes us know the concept of diffusion. Yes, have you clear now? Diffusion of liquids and even diffusion of gases. So you may get doubt like diffusion of gases is seen more. Means the agarbatti, the deodorants or the refresheners or whatever you use, definitely these are the part which every day which we come used to it. Not only, so whichever part or the phenomena whichever is taking place, the diffusion of liquids and diffusion of gases is a compulsory a part of life which goes with this particular phenomena called diffusion. So we can't avoid the diffusion. So diffusion definitely happens. So diffusion is a part. So the diffusion is a part where we are trying to identify and estimate the different form of matters, in what ways they are being estimated, in what way it is being considered and confined. So clear everyone? So today's class we have discussed the different forms of matter. We have seen solids, liquids and gases. Then we started discussing about the properties, like how to know that it's a solid or a liquid or a gas. We have seen some sort of properties of solids, liquids and gases. Then after knowing the particular properties of liquids, solids and gases, then we have concluded that solids definitely have definite shape and definite volume. They doesn't move, whereas liquids will have only the fixed volume, and definitely they are being changing to the shape of the container which we use. And when we come to the gases, gases doesn't have any fixed shape or any definite volume. So we need to compress it, and we will be learning about the properties of those. Then same way we have seen the special property of diffusion of liquids, and even we have seen the different examples of diffusion of gases, and we have seen how diffusion property plays an important role in our daily life. And there are some more sort of applications where diffusion plays important role. Even we are going to see in respiration also diffusion is playing an important role. So today I will end up my session with diffusion properties with applications we have seen, and still in further class, the next class we are going to discuss about the diffusion applications along with the diffusion of gases and experimental setup also. Thank you.